Are we live? All right. We'll call this Senate Minerals Committee to order. And first order of business is a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Beitman,
Here.
Senator Cooper,
Excused.
Senator Rothfuss,
Excused.
Senator Wasserberger, Chairman Anderson.
Here. So we have a quorum and the other two will be in and out as they can be. First order of business is House Bill 123, and I think you might have somebody to present it.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Members of the committee, Eric Barlow, House District 3, because I got to go through all those formalities. I haven't been in front of a committee in a while, so I apologize. I bring you House Bill 123. Members of the committee, this is a bill that I think builds and expands off of a bill that was brought 2 years ago. And that was the wind turbine into coal mines bill disposal. And so this bill actually broadens the type of materials and then allows it into non-coal mines. So there's a shift in this. This is for non-coal mines, as opposed to the first bill that we brought was for coal mines. That bill was very specific to wind turbine associated refuse, if you will, or parts. This one is specific. This one is not specified to a type of mineral. It uses the definition inert materials. So this bill comes as a request of a local business in my community, the community that Senator Wasserberger and I represent, and their interest is in grinding tires, quite honestly, grinding tires and placing them in these mines. And they see both it as a enterprise, a business opportunity, and as far as from a local perspective, the county or the landfill board sees it as an opportunity to reduce the amount of stuff that goes into the landfill and place it in have another opportunity to place it elsewhere. Northeast Wyoming, so this company has purchased or has on order $1 million shredder, if you will, that is mobile. So this will be something they can move from site to site around the state, and this is part of what they're working on in their business plan. Now, they can certainly do this in going to landfills. And shredding tires, which is their primary focus. Shredding tires, of course, will reduce the amount of area that same material would take within a mine. So that's not filling up a landfill with tire material. But as we talked about it, and I listened to them talk about this, I said, well, we just did this for another single type of material in coal mines. Let's actually maybe broaden this and have it so it's a broader term, inert materials, not just tires, and have a discussion about having this outside of coal-related mines, backfill for reclamation, non-coal mines. So that was the idea I kind of threw at him. I said, yeah, that'd be great, because we actually have some mines, non-coal mines, that are pretty ideal for this. One of them is bentonite mines. They seal very nicely. In several parts of the state, there is bentonite. Northeast Wyoming, the Bighorn Basin, and maybe elsewhere. And there's probably other opportunities for other types of mines. The other thing about why we stayed away from coal mines for these inert materials is, as you'll recall, coal mines are regulated under federal regulations as well as state. So those federal regulations would require another application, which and the good folks at the DEQ will talk about where they are in that regulatory process of seeking approval to dispose of the wind turbine parts, wind turbine blades, essentially, and towers in those coal mines. But that's an ongoing process. So the original bill had some little interaction with that first piece of legislation. That's been removed from the bill because we don't want to interrupt that regulatory approval process. So this bill is boiled down to non-coal mines, non-coal mine reclamation, and inert materials. Now, the agency that has responsibility for this has brought some amendments forward to you, and I'll let them go through them. I think in general, I think the amendments are actually helpful, clarify, simplify, and could be adopted. But Mr. Chairman, if you'd like, I'll just quickly run through the bill. Actually, I see and this is the first time I've looked at the engrossed copy, but actually in the gross copy, Mr. Chairman, on lines 4 through 6, there is a technical correction in the bill title that needs to be removed. The amending requirements for fees associated with decommissioned wind turbine blades, because that's actually struck in the committee, or excuse me, in my second reading or third reading amendment in the House. So that's just a cleanup that we'll ask our staff to accomplish as we get there. So that's on page 1. Page 2 of the bill, this is the inert material, and you'll see that there's a suggested amendment. And what I did in the House was what it said was, the original bill said any material that will not go under any significant deterioration. And there was some question about, well, what is significant? What is significant? Is that a little bit more, a little bit more? So I kind of flipped it. I added a combination of materials, and then I said minimal deterioration, transformation, excuse me, is the word. And then the second part, of course, which is I think the most important part, is not adversely affect other matter. Now, what they've come back with, the definition is a little different, and they're going to rely on rulemaking to make that determination instead of place it in statute. I think that would be quite appropriate, and I'll let them make their case to that, because they're adding new language to do that. As you know, this is in Title 35. Title 35 has, gives that council through their advisory boards and the administrative director various authorities. This is adding a new authority. This is the bottom of page 2 for the rules and regulations for this type of activity. Now, they also the department has also has some, I think, simplified and clarifying language maybe to amend this out. So it looks like there's lots of changes. I think we're all trying to get to the same place. I think we're trying to take some of the specificity out of statute and allow that to be dealt with in rules. I think that I'll let the department speak to that, but I think that is quite appropriate in that way. I will say that to these two parts right here, during the House committee meeting, there's a discussion. Do you want to just say inert materials, or do you want to just say including pulverized rubber, or just say what it is you want to do? And my feeling is that every time we added another product, we'd come back to the legislature and have to add it to a list. And we have lists of things that we do in Medicare and other places that we just add to the list, and it takes a process, it takes a bill to do it. And I felt like if we could have a broader approach, give that regulatory discretion to the agency, then you add it in a more hopefully timely way. And I used, as you will see in my amendment on page 2, line 21, I wanted to make that point. I hope this is a timely process, whether it's now that we're taking out a statute, which would not be timely if we had to add everything individually, that even then the department would do it in a timely process, because we're going to do it one material type at a time. Now, they're suggesting that they were going, I think by their amendment, they're going to do it timely anyway. We don't have to remind them of that. So, and that's fine. And then the last thing, and this, and then there's requirements, and none of the requirements, there's no suggestions that change requirements. Most of these requirements are just straight out of the windmill one. The windmill one also have the removal of electrical wires and some other things, so that you cleaned up those structures. And because this is kind of a base material type thing, I struck that because we're actually going to approve it material by material. So I didn't think you needed to have that nuance in it that we had for the wind turbine one. So that was struck. And then of course there's depth, and then there's the disposal fee. If you'll recall, the wind turbine blade used 25% of the revenue, and that's what was in this bill originally. Was I brought that 25% language in and I struck it down to 10 to match this. But that would interfere with that regulatory process that they're going through, that approval process that they're going through with the federal government. So we decided just to leave that out. But you'll note that I left this one at 10%. I left this one at 10%. And I think, and what is that for? That's for the approval process, the inspections, the whatever that the department may have to, would have to impose to actually make sure that this is being done and managed properly by the applicant and by the one who is disposing of it. Finally, Mr. Chairman, there's a suggestion, and to be honest, when I spoke with the department folks, in the bill, I'll finish the bill out, the last page, page 4. Because, as generally we have laws take effect July 1st, that's great, but I'd like the rulemaking process to be able to start immediately so that come July 1st, if the rulemaking processes come to fruition, they can start actually applying, folks can actually start applying for this and accomplishing what we hope to have them accomplish. So ultimately, and then the final thing is on the amendment sheet, which I say I have no hesitation about any of the suggestions, but they did bring something in that I actually thought we both thought had actually got into the standing committee amendment in the House, and then I thought it was there and I wasn't paying attention. We thought we made that clear and I agreed to it, is that this is not, there's an exception to the solid waste management facility, i.e. landfills, and this would be an exception, so it would not fall under those regulations, under those same regulations. The same as the wind turbine one does not fall under that. So, so this is basically to synchronize it with that wind turbine one from 2 years ago in coal mines. This is non-coal, inert materials, and this needs to be there too, so it doesn't fall under another set of, I don't think onerous is the right word, but unnecessary regulation. So, Mr. Chairman, that is the bill. I am actually, very receptive to the amendments. I think it clarifies, cleans up, and streamlines the bill. And I'll be glad to stand for any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I think I have 2 amendments, and maybe the one has already been put in.
That would be corrected on the title, I think.
Well,
Yeah, I
not
think
just
that's-
that,
no, I think
but
that's
it eliminates and a few other things. Is that the one you're talking about that was in your standing committee? Because I don't think it's in here, in this, in gross copy yet.
Mr. Chairman, so I think this is a staff proposed amendment that because that language that I pointed out in the very beginning on lines 4, 5, and 6,
Yeah.
that particular part of the original bill was stricken, and this did not get removed. And so I think this is a staff suggested cleanup to the bill title,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
That's all it does.
All right.
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
apologize, Mr. Chairman, I did not know that had been provided to you. So, but yes, that is exactly what I mentioned. when I
Mostly
started.
what you're talking about is this.
Mr. Chairman, the substantive part of the bill,
Yeah.
that as I walk
Okay.
through the bill, those are suggestions from the Department of Environmental Quality. As I said, I don't have any reservation about their intent, and I think it clarifies and cleans up some of the language, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman?
Speaker, on page 2, that 10% of any revenue collected by the operator for the disposal of the inert material, how will that work? The operator is the guy who puts it in the ground, not the guy who goes and gets it, I guess. But he's the guy who's placing it in the ground and he's being paid for it. Is that how that works?
Mr. Chairman, so one, we don't have an exercised model of what was done with the wind turbine blade. We're still going through that process of getting approval from the federal government, from OSM on that. So this is identical language that came out of that. And the good senator from Laramie, or from Albany County, from Laramie, was part of that bill. And so I think operator refers to the one who has received permission to dispose of the materials. And they are somehow being compensated for doing that. And from whatever revenue they gain, 10% is going to the DEQ for the, management of this program.
What confuses me is there's one entity that's gathering up these tires, say, and he's being paid by somebody who has the tires. Then he takes it to another entity that puts it in the ground. And I'm assuming he's paid also. So I'm not sure what the operator is.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So yeah, that is from the previous draft, and you'll see that it's to be remitted to the department by the operator who
Yeah.
allows disposal of inert material in non-coal mining sites. The intent there is that it is the receiver of the final material that is disposing of it, pursuant
Okay.
to now this or previously the wind turbine. And Mr. Chairman,
Okay,
I have to run across the hall. I support this. I support it as amended, good amendments, and I'll leave that with you.
okay. Thank you, sir. Any other questions for the speaker? No other questions? Other questions? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
being with us.
Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Yeah. Does the agency want to speak on this?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Luke Esch. I'm the deputy
Yes.
director, and with me today is Minister Kyle Wentland and Administrator Suzanne Engels. And we are here to discuss House Bill 123. In short, Mr. Chairman, the department does not have a problem with this bill. We would agree that there are circumstances around the state in which it is appropriate and protective to dispose of inert materials in coal mine as backfill. The language that we suggested allows us to maybe put some sideboards on that. For example, maybe asphalt shingles in a sand and gravel pit where there's frequent water flowing through there. Maybe that's not the best location, but as the speaker indicated, in a bentonite mine, that would provide a pretty tight formation for the containment of some materials. So the language that we proposed just allows the department to put in some instances where we feel it is appropriate. If we are approached with a proposal for a type of an inert material, it allows the department to review that and determine the appropriateness in the circumstances. The suggestions we put forward, we just tried to clarify and clean up the bill based around that definition of what is appropriate to use as backfill. And I really would probably just stand for questions at this time.
Yes, Senator Wasserberger.
There's no questions. Mr. Chairman, I would ask Mr. Esch to walk us through these amendments.
Mr. Chairman,
Questions? No questions. Let's hear the amendments.
all right,
Should we move them? I will move all three amendments.
Well, not yet,
Okay,
not yet.
we're just gonna talk.
Let's go ahead and hear about them.
Sure. So, Mr. Chairman, the first amendment, this is the modification to the definition of an inert material. The department is proposing to change the definition to inert material means a material that is suitable as a backfill into non-coal mining sites as determined by 3511-402A15. And so this is that process that I discussed that the department can go through to determine when a material is suitable for a particular non-coal mining site, and do that through the rulemaking process. And that would be at page 2, lines 5 through 7.
That would actually replace what we have in there now, I think. Or we're gonna strike that and then put this in. One question is non-coal mining. Would that be a possibility that could go in a trona mine?
Mr. Chairman, that's correct. It's non-coal is the broad category of anything that's not coal. And that's a reason to maybe have the amendment that we've proposed, is it allows us to, determine what's suitable, there's a suitability, like the asphalt example, shingle example.
Would we come under the same restrictions that we would in coal in underground because it's federally controlled?
Mr. Chairman, and not in the non-coal, the restriction you might have in Trona would be where we have a federal, you may have in the checkerboard a federal ownership, so there may be portions where that would have a play, but that's a unique situation to those checkerboard areas.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Carry on.
Mr. Chairman?
Page 2, line 19 through 23, is that the next
Yes.
one?
Mr. Chairman, this is the section of the rule that directs the department to develop the rules and regulations for all the land quality division. And so this is the provision that is modified to basically say that the department shall develop rules and regulations governing the use of the inert material as backfill for non-coal mining sites as part of an approved reclamation plan. We are proposing to strike the language, including a timely process for the department to consider applications for approval to use of inert material in the reclamation plan. We're really proposing to strike this because Administrator Wendland can go into this in more detail, but we already have timelines in our rules and regulations upon which we need to review proposed reclamation plans. So the timely nature of that is already included in our rules and regulations.
Mr. Chairman, that is actually called out in our non-coal Chapter 7 Rules and Regulations, Section 2B, II, large G. And there's a process for a major revision, which that's what this would be, because you're going to be placing a deed restriction. It'll be a modification to the reclamation plan. It'll be a change, you know, basically a material change to the closure plan for a site like that. So that process is in rule and reg already and is clearly defined.
Mr. Chairman, the final suggested edit goes to what the good speaker referred to as more of a cleanup. This was referenced in the discussion with the House. This is proposing to modify 3511-103 D2G to include the newly created statute that governs the use of inert material as backfill material. And that would exclude it from the definition of a solid waste management facility, which would eliminate the potential for dual permitting of that type of project.
But we don't have that in this bill,
Mr. Chairman, that's correct. I think
3511-103.
you would need to add that.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, Senator Wasserberger, those are the suggested amendments that we have proposed.
All right. Questions for the agency? Questions? So, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Bateman.
Mr. Ash, I was just wondering on that last amendment, would this bill be okay if we weren't able to get that one in there? Would it still pass muster for you guys?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Brightman, it would be a lot cleaner if you did. If it's not excluded from the definition of a solid waste management facility, this type of project would likely need to receive a permit as either a treatment facility or a disposal facility. So that would add probably considerable length and cost to the proposed operator of something like this.
Yes, Senator Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would solidified drill cuttings from drilling operations fit into this program somewhere? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Cooper and I might see if either of these two had anything to input, but I think in certain circumstances it could. If a proposal is made to the department that indicates the type of formation or the type of mine that it was going to be going into, and then the other type of facility-specific information, I think it could. Do you have anything?
Mr. Chairman, I think that comes back to the first amendment we were proposing here in the definition. Is it suitable for that geology? If it is, then it would be eligible. And that can be addressed in the rulemaking, you know. And I think that's the best way to handle that, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know what inert material is. Is nuclear waste inert?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to touch that one.
Any other questions for the agency? Yeah, yeah, they are. Yeah, they've been grilled before, haven't they? Anything else for you? Thank you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on House Bill 123.
Just one, Mr. Chairman. I'm Pat Joyce, Assistant Director of the Wyoming Mining Association. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, it's a pleasure to be with you today, and we appreciate you bringing this bill forward. In general, we support the bill. We're always looking for another opportunity for our mines to generate some revenue and also work with strong reclamation rules and laws and guidelines in that, and looking for ways to keep our environment clean in any of our mining sources. And this is an opportunity to kind of work with other industries as well. So we look forward to supporting this. We would support that any of the rules, guidelines, and that be managed, of course, by DEQ and EQC. So if you have any questions, I would stand.
Questions for Ms. Joyce? Questions? Hey, I thought of another one. Could we use this material for backfill in the mines that we're reclaiming, the non-coal mines that we're reclaiming in the state? The abandoned mine land?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Those,
We haven't discussed
a
that.
lot
I would
of
probably
those are
refer to
coal,
the
but
DEQ on that, but yeah. All of our reclaiming happens as as we tear it up, we take the mineral out, and then of course we're coming in with backfill right behind it, especially in the coal mines and that, but I would defer to my friend at DEQ for that one.
okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think there's a pretty clean answer to that is the abandoned mines don't have active bonding on them now. These sites would fall under the new, that's part of the revisions would be the reclamation bond and the bonding for the release period that it would take to meet those requirements. So I do not believe this would apply to the abandoned mine lands.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any questions for Pat? Any questions for Pat? Hearing none, thank you, Pat. I sense that the bringer wants to talk to us again. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. So just a couple of things came up. I just wanted to hopefully provide a little more context. Again, I'm very receptive to the amendments. I think they help clarify. I appreciate the comments about other materials. That's exactly what we're trying to do with this bill, is provide opportunities for disposal of materials within an improved reclamation plan. Now, I want to be clear that so there's two things. There's a category of materials called C&D, construction and demolition material. This goes to the shingle issue. You have a big hailstorm and you got lots of shingles that come out of a community. They go to a landfill for how many dollars a ton, or can we have another site where they could go to and consumers wouldn't be paying near as high a dollars potentially to have them disposed of in another site. So that's part of the hopefully opportunity we have here with this type of bill. The drilling cuttings or whatever other industry or things that might be out there in a way. I do want to clarify that the timely process for consider applications, it's a little different thing. We have a reclamation plan, and I think the guidelines and the timelines were spoken about were with regard to the reclamation plan. What I'm encouraging is that as a material is identified in a mine that they could dispose of is identified, how do we have that be done in a timely manner? Because I don't want the mine to get closed in before we can get the materials in it, if that makes sense. And they certainly don't want reclamation, the reclamation schedule delayed, waiting for something. So there's got to be some kind of coordination, and maybe this accommodates that. I don't know. I'll let the department speak to that, and maybe through the rulemaking process we have that. But you see what I'm saying is that I don't want our process to be slow on one end, and we got to hurry up on this end if we don't get that opportunity. So there's got to be a coordination in that. That I hope, and that's why the timely language wasn't about that they were slow, but that we could actually have the access to the non-coal mine in the reclamation phase so we could get these materials there. Now, I think once we have a company, and I hope it's a company from my community that's the first one doing this with a particular product doing it, they're going to have a mine, they're going to get, 6 months, a year from there, they're going to be in another part of the state, and they're going to have the mine already, identified, they're going to be work with the operator, to your point. They're going to have the application in the same type of material. They'll just say, at this location, it's going to be part of the backfill. and then they'll go to another part of the state. And the same thing could happen with cuttings. If you have, as industry moves, whether it's drilling operations or grinding operations, you just have a circuit you could run and say, we're going to continue to use this mine, and when it's closed, you go on. The other thing I think we should be clear about is, I use the bentonite mine, and somebody else used the sand and gravel, other conditions, we could have lined pits. There's other things we can do to help ensure, whatever the appropriate environmental measures are met. We could, those would be part of the cost to the operator. They'd have to decide if it was worthwhile or not. And so I do have every intention that this protects our environment, our resources, but provide another opportunity for disposal of these materials. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think that's really important, that timely, because if you're looking at bentonite mining, that's almost a continuous operation too. They take the bentonite out and they go right back in and start reclamation. So we would have to be pretty quick to make that. Any questions for the speaker? Any questions? Any questions? Thank you again. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in the room? Is there anybody in Zoom? Nobody in Zoom, nobody in the room. We're going to close public comment. And committee, what's your pleasure? Moved. Cooper seconded. Cooper got it. All right. Any discussion? Any discussion? Do you guys want to? Yes.
I would move to insert on page 2, lines 5 through 7, 3x little I, inert material means any,
No,
no,
means
a material that is suitable as backfill into non-coal mining sites as determined by 3511-402A 15.
Second? Moving seconded, we approve page 2, line 5 through 7, 31. 31, boy, that's a big section. Any discussion on that amendment? Any discussion on that amendment? Hearing none, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And Mr.
I
Chairman,
have another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move on page 2, lines 19 through 23 at 3511-402, establishment of standards. Little a 15, rules and regulations governing the use of inert material as backfill for non-coal mining sites as a part of an approved reclamation plan. Strike, including a timely process for the department to consider applications for approval to the use of inert materials in the reclamation plans, and insert rules promulgated under this paragraph shall at amendment provide for, :
Is there a second? Second by Beitman. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That amendment passes.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure, can we do this last?
I think we
Amendment?
can. I guess we just take the whole thing.
Okay, I would move, and that would be at the end of the bill, right?
Right. That's just another
Another section?
another section. It'd be section 3, and then we'd have to readjust this to section 4.
Okay. So I would move Wyoming statute 35-11-103D, 2 little I, large g, would be modified by adding reference to Wyoming statute 35-11-402A 15, 2 little I, solid waste management facility means any facility for the transfer, treatment, processing, storage, or disposal of solid waste, but does not include capital G, lands and facilities authorized by Wyoming statute 35-11-402A 13 and 15.
Is there a second? I would ask the department, does that do what you want to do with that? Is that all right if we make it section 3 and? Oh. Okay,
Okay.
good. Good. Any discussion? Any questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Those 3 amendments have passed. And then we have this cleanup one that we need to do also. So does anybody want to move that?
Mike's already hot, go for it.
Hey, I'm hotter than a pancake. Getting all my amendments in today. Mr. Chairman, I would move, on page 1, line 4, after specified, we delete the balance of the line. On page 1, line 5, delete entirely. Page 5, line 1, lines,
Wait, you're off on the, it's all on page 1.
oh, I'm sorry. It's all on
Page 1, line 5.
Page 1, line 6, delete line through mines. Page 1, line 12, after 35402A, delete and. That's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any
got a-
discussion?
Big standing committee amendment.
Yeah.
Floor.
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Back on the bill, we've amended the heck out of the
Little tiny bill.
the speaker's bill. I guess he's all right with it.
He's still alive.
Yeah. So any discussion on House Bill 123? No questions, and hearing the question being called, could you do roll, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Beitman?
Aye.
Senator Cooper?
Aye.
Senator Rothfuss provided an absentee vote. Aye. Senator Wasserberger?
Aye.
Chairman Anderson?
Aye.
5 ayes. Do pass amended. House Bill 123 engrossed.
So we have we have 4 standing committee amendments, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll be on
It'll all
one
be in
page.
one.
Oh, will they?
Yeah.
It'll be 4 different parts.
4 different parts
There.
on,
Each
on
one's a
one.
little bit different.
Okay. So we'll have 1 standing committee amendment.
Be like a couple pages long.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna baffle everybody.
Hey, it shows them we're working hard.
Yeah. Does anybody want to carry this on the floor?
I see a co-sponsor on.
I can do it, Mr. Chairman. Unless you want to do it.
No,
How
no,
come?
you're right on there, right?
He doesn't want to get the acid with nuclear.
Yeah, yeah.
be
Wasserberger's gonna take this one. Was.
Last man standing.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. All right, good. There's no other bills come for the Senate Minerals Committee. We will